What's good, everybody? It's your boy Jesky Chuck, all terrain mode, back with another creepy and scary TikTok reaction video. These scary videos on YouTube might cause you to rethink your reality and keep you up all night. If you haven't already, please slap that like button and get ready to dive on tonight's waters.
Tartaria was everywhere, and history as we know it has been completely fabricated. At first we thought maybe the Dark Ages were just unclear, but it turns out they were invented to push a lot of events further into the past. We realized that it wasn't just small parts of history that might be wrong, everything was made up. One fascinating thing is the architecture we find around the world. In almost every city you'll find ancient Gothic-style buildings with incredibly intricate designs. People look at them and say, oh, that's just how they built things back then, but some of these buildings are absolutely stunning. Think about it. If we lived in a feudal society where everyone was working just to survive, how would anyone have had the time, resources, or motivation to build something so elaborate and that worked the way they did? These buildings weren't just practical structures like free energy generators, they were artistic expressions. They were built to be functional and beautiful, to celebrate what was being created. But we don't build like that anymore. The complexity and beauty of these structures are clues that we didn't live in the same pay-to-survive system we're trapped in now. Tartaria was a global civilization, incredibly advanced and powered by free energy, likely based on etheric energy. It existed up until about 200 or 250 years ago. Estimates place its early origins around the mid-17th century, and its destruction came shortly after. They've been lying to you all along.
Do you remember when the world was free? Well, how about when the energy was free as well? Everything was taken from the atmosphere and drawn into these buildings, to these pylons, and many different things. And it was the aether that powered everything. And one day, the controllers of this world decided to take it away. They reset the population. It was in every country. Just keep watching these photos, and you'll see that everything was conductive. Everything had a way to tap into this energy, whether it be the obelisks, or the towers, or the cathedrals. Everything you look at, it interacted with the nature of the earth, the energy of the earth. It was a beautiful thing. Do you remember when the world was free?
Look at this structure. This kind of reminds me of that church, the giant Gothic church. The name escapes me right now. Barcelona.
Well, how about when the energy was free as well? Everything was taken from the atmosphere and drawn into these buildings, to these pylons, and many different things. And it...
Look at this. Look at these chimneys. Fireplaces. I believe these fireplaces were used for the Tartarian fireplaces that you could store ether in. Because look, this is like some steampunk type containers, but by looking at them I can tell that these are some type of fireplace or some type of reactor for the etheric energy that they were capturing above their heads. This was like a battery or storage chamber for that, some type of reactor.
It was the aether that powered everything. And one day, the controllers of this world decided to take it away. They reset the population. It was in every country. Just...
Damn. Is this what... Man, the original buildings are so... Where do they get this photo?
Keep watching these photos.
This building looked like it had giant balloons on it everywhere. There are mercury balls spinning in it, conducting. It looks like they have statues on almost every pillar, and then it goes to roses behind it, replacing the pillars as like rose bushes and stuff. That's fascinating.
And you'll see that everything was conductive. Everything had a way to tap into this energy, whether it be the obelisks, or the towers, or the cathedrals. Everything you look at interacted with the nature of the earth, the energy of the earth. It was a beautiful thing.
The old buildings from the old world, the sacred buildings, they used to have these brass balls and they loaded them up with mercury and they put them real high up so that they could gather atmospheric energy, which is free energy. The higher you go up, the more energy that's up there, and they would run, for example, a copper wire down into their home, and they could use that if they wanted free energy or to light their light bulbs or whatever things that they had in the home. The old buildings from the old world, the sacred buildings, they used to have these brass balls.
That is interesting.
So they loaded them up.
Are those the actual balls that they used?
The ether was once thought to be the fifth element, filling the cosmos and permeating all things. Modern science discarded it, but in esoteric traditions, ether remains the invisible matrix in which all energy and matter exists. It is beyond physical form, yet provides the substance from which form arises. To contemplate the ether is to touch the invisible fabric of reality, where all boundaries dissolve. The ether was once thought.
Stained glass windows had a meaning. They were not just for the design. The ancients were far more advanced than we think. We must remember that everything is vibration. Each color in the window is a specific crystal gemstone, or glass painted with a specific color frequency. The sun would shine through this vibrational energy in the window and imprint this energy into your body. We are 80% water, and water is conscious. The energy from our surroundings and our words imprints the water in our body. By standing inside the building can have healing effects on your body. Each cathedral had an organ, and they're called organs because they healed your body's organs through sound, energy, and frequency. They never built square rooms because the geometry of the cube traps energy. Geometry is the study of shapes and their energetic principles. The ancients used geometry in their structure of the buildings to increase the energy of the building, to have healing effects on your body. Repost these videos to earn up to 50% commission. Join the
They have found many ancient technologies at these sites, because these buildings are the ancient technologies themselves. They, of course, will never let you and I know these technologies. And that is, of course, part of the control that they have over us all. The elites of this world know all about this free energy technology and could make it available to the masses in an instant, just as our ancient past did. Yet, sadly, that's not the world we live in. We are intentionally held back, technologically and other. Our true history and its advanced capabilities are deliberately hidden from us as well. But just look at the architecture and the designs that went into these structures of our past. The technology is still very much there, and it's been hidden in plain sight from us. We are but the inheritors, living in a post-apocalyptic realm, not knowing the greatness of the past that's been hidden all around. Research the mud flood and fall of Tartaria. Question everything, friends.
Things you didn't know you needed to know about nature. Part 7. Plants can communicate. Actually speak to one another. And they can also listen to one another and to the world around them and react accordingly. Now, there have been many studies done. For example, roots of plants are able to send out vibrations. And now those vibrations can actually speak to larger root systems itself of just one plant, but it can also speak to other plants in the surrounding area. For example, there's some type of threat in the area. Plants can communicate that to each other. And then the plants can listen to that and react, because of course communication is not only about speaking, It's about listening. Now, not only can they listen to the plants around them that might be sending out messages to one another, but they can actually listen to the world around them and act accordingly. There are studies that have been done that show that the roots of plants actually grow in the direction of the sound of running water, that they can sense those vibrations and hear them, and their roots will actually grow in the direction of that running water. Another example is that certain plants will actually create more nectar and sweeter smelling and tasting nectar when they can hear pollinators approaching. When they feel those vibrations of the wings approaching, they will actually beef up their nectar stores to try and attract and get those pollinators to come specifically to their plant. They can sense that. Another shows that when plants are getting preyed upon, where they're being munched by like a caterpillar, for example, they can hear the munching, the vibrations of that munching, and they send out phytochemicals as defenses to try and ward off those predators. Plants are so fascinating, and the interconnected world between them, this just scratches the surface. So this again proves that when plants hear things in their environment and are listening to their environment around them, they will react accordingly. And the next time you see some plants, you might just want to think, what are they trying to communicate? Not only to the plants around them, but maybe to you. Things you didn't know you needed to know about nature, part 7.
Like maybe they do have some type of plant type neurotransmitter.
Did you know plants can actually interact with our thoughts? In 1966, a man named Cleve Baxter decided to connect his plants to a lie detector test. This would basically record its electrical signals and detect any sensory information. When he did, he realized the signals were very much alive and fluctuating, just like when he tested it on humans. During his experiments, he also realized that his thoughts actually had an effect on the plant's electrical activity, and that even by thinking of harming the plant, you cause its signal to immediately spike, as if it somehow could detect your thoughts and experience fear. But perhaps the weirdest was that when he was eating his lunch, he noticed the plants were having a strange stress response, as if they somehow knew that their plant friend was being eaten. He then realized that if you simply think and feel an immense sense of gratitude for the food you're eating, it significantly reduces the stress signals both in the food itself and in the plants around it. Now all of this may sound crazy until you realize how highly conscious plants actually are. They literally emit a high-pitched scream we can't hear when you cut their leaves or when they're not watered enough. They slowly turn towards where the sun is because that's one of their main sources of energy. They talk to each other through their roots and form social bonds and families with other plants. They have a sense of taste and smell which they use to recognize danger, recognize drought, and even recognize their relatives. They have a highly developed neural system in their roots that communicates in the same way that ours does. In one automated experiment, he allowed live shrimp to fall into boiling water. At that exact moment, the plants also had a strange electrical signal, as if they somehow felt that the shrimp were experiencing pain.
If you brine shrimp die and the plant feels their death, it means that even on the lower levels of life, there's a profound consciousness or an awareness that binds all things together.
This leaves us to think, what really is conscious and intelligent? I tend to think that everything has consciousness, from elements to stars to cells and even atoms. It's only that we experience different levels of consciousness. But that doesn't mean because we can't hear or communicate with them that they're simply unconscious. It simply means that they have their own unique form of conscious experience, which is much more different than ours. But just think, your heart beats itself and your cells replicate on their own. And we say that they do all of that in a mechanical and automatic way, because we believe they're unconscious. But what if everything in the universe truly is conscious? It's only that we experience consciousness in different ways.
Plants talk amongst themselves to protect each other from harm, and for the first time ever, researchers have visualized how. Let me explain. It's been known that plants communicate with each other since the 1980s, when researchers discovered that trees talk and warn each other of danger through airborne chemical signals. But now, scientists have unlocked real-time plant-to-plant communication in a new study published in Nature Communications. Plants communicate through chemical emissions called volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. One type of VOC, green leafy volatiles, is specifically used when plants are hurt. For this study, lead researcher Masatsugu Toyoda and his colleagues crush the leaves of mustard and tomato plants and place caterpillars on them, triggering the plant to emit green leafy volatiles. Then they pumped those green leafy volatiles onto healthy plants to see how they would react. To visualize the chemical reactions in real time, the researchers genetically modified the plants so the calcium ions would fluoresce when activated inside individual cells, a process called calcium signaling. The researchers found that 2 green leafy volatiles boost calcium signaling in healthy plants. These findings mean that plants could be immunized against threats and stressors before they even happen, like giving up, according to reporting from the Washington Post. This research could revolutionize protecting plants and crops from bug attacks and droughts. We have finally unveiled the intricate story of when, where, and how plants respond to airborne warning messages from their threatened neighbors, Toyota said in a statement. This ethereal communication network hidden from our view plays a pivotal role in safeguarding neighboring plants from imminent threats in a timely manner.
Is this really the plant talking? That's crazy.
Would you believe me if I told you there is a device that actually lets you listen to your house? Would you believe me if I told you there is a device that actually lets you listen to your houseplants?
If that legitly worked, what a cool idea. Biorhythms. Okay, hold on. Listen to this tree with me. The biorhythms within the tree are creating... Damn, it's fast. Are creating the notes you're hearing. The device called Plant Wave translates chains of electricity within plants with sound. Because all plants have different amounts of water moving through them, every single plant creates different patterns and melodies.
This little device is absolute. You put an electrode by the root of the plant and another electrode. This little device is absolutely brilliant. You put an electrode by the root of the plant and another electrode onto the leaf of the plant, and the electrical impulses and the frequencies are converted via this device into musical notes. So each plant has its own musical signature, depending on how it's trying to communicate.
That was a rose. Let's see what a peony sounds like.
This little device is absolutely brilliant.
It says, This include water and nutrient transport and possibly biochemical communication signals used by the endocytic fungi. Endocytic fungi.
Let's listen to this plant.
That flower was on the keyboard. Y'all gotta be kidding me.
Crazy.
You're not ready for this one. We're in Avatar world at this point. This is a plant talking to another plant. This one's probably not saying anything good because the caterpillar's eating it, but a team of researchers used some creative fluorescent lighting and some microscopes to watch this all happen. The results of this are beautiful. Among other things they measured if a plant gets damaged, what happens then too, and sure enough, they communicate pretty much anything that comes in contact with them. They do this with glutamate. Kind of like how our body communicates with us with chemicals that get translated into feelings. You can even see it going through the channels in the cells. That is wild. But it's not just with damage, it's with a variety of things. Even touching the plants can cause them to glow. The electromagnetic field of a plant also responds to damage, and even bees.
Flying causes them to lose electrons. As a bee approaches a flower, the charged fields around the flower and the bee interact, and the sound changes.
The bee has a static charge from flying, and the plant is grounded, so it has negative, so the pollen just jumps to the bee. Trees also have a similar method of communication, except they use a middleman, the mycelium network, or the fungus, which we only see the fruit of. They cluster in these nodes to create a tree internet. The fungus on the bark and the moss and even the other plants around are connected to form a giant internet of plants. So the universe looks like that, nebulas look like this, the earth looks like this, we look like that, and drink water looks like that. You're not ready for this one. We're in Avatar world at this point. This is a plant talk.
Oh yeah, that's right up my alley. Called the glutamate. Is used to contact the mycelium, like the plant network. That's what I wrote down in my notes. So we're going to try to piece it together a little bit. All right, let's see if I could spell it right. Glutamate. Glutamate is an amino acid and neurotransmitter that plays a key memory, cognition, and mood regulation. Activate submersible.
Have you heard of glutamate? If you haven't, I'm going to tell you what it means and its function. Glutamate is a neurotransmitter. It's released by the nerves in your brain, and it also plays a role in learning and memory. Glutamate has many jobs, but one of the main jobs is to send messages in between nerve cells in your brain. Glutamate is also a building block. It's an amino acid for protein. In our body, glutamate is made and stored in our muscles tissue. So, what are the benefits of glutamate? It helps us with learning and memory. Energy source for brain cells when our glucose levels are low. chemical messenger. It helps send messages between our cells. When having too much glutamate, Huntington's, Parkinson, and Alzheimer's disease can develop. When having too little glutamate, you start to experience low energy, trouble concentrating, and insomnia.
Glutamate is an excitatory neurotransmitter. It is also one of the 20 common amino acids. You may also know it under the name of glutamic acid. And it's needed for excitation of the neuron specifically because it is the most major and strong excitatory neurotransmitter. It's also important for learning and memory. It's synthesized from alpha-ketoglutarate and recycled for use in astrocytes and neurons in the glutamate-glutamine cycle. So this is a very basic overview of the relationship between the synthesis of glutamate from alpha-ketoglutarate and the glutamate-glutamine cycle. So glutamate can be synthesized from the Krebs cycle in either the neuron or the astrocyte, which is a type of glial cell. So starting from the neuron, glutamate is synthesized from alpha-ketoglutarate, then it's released from the neuron into the synapse. Excess glutamate is then taken up by the astrocyte and changed into glutamine. Then glutamine can go into the neuron and be changed into glutamate again to be used for excitation, so on and so forth. I feel like Wednesdays are well liked. I am someone who likes Wednesday because it's kind of like the start of the latter half of the week, so just think about Wednesday.
So glutamate turns into glutamine. So glutamate turns into glutamine. Is it through the neuron transmitters? Is this the same thing that runs through plants?
I'd like to introduce you to the idea of water as an intelligent designer. Here I exposed water to my friend's photo, removed and froze using a special method, and it designed her face. I showed the ice result to the water, and it designed a negative of her face. I briefly placed my thumb in the water and then froze it, and water designed a thumb with a chip in the nail. I chipped my nail in exactly the same place 3 hours later. Here I used a conceptual word of ego. It's a word I have no visual for, which removes any mental projection, and water designed a person with big shoulders, a small face, and a giant balloon head. I used the word milk as an influence, and water designed a breast. I wasn't thinking of human milk, so this was a surprise. You notice that the ice designs are not photocopies of the influence, but more of an interpretation, and to me, this is clear display of some kind of awareness. I honestly don't think we know what water really is yet.
So, is this a normal thing in California now, y'all? Nobody's going to ask why that is? Why is our ocean lighting up blue like the Avatar, like the word of the Avatar? What is going on? And remember, the ocean wasn't the only thing that was bioluminescent. The whole planet was. So is the ocean starting first and then it's happening to the rest of the planet? Because as a kid, I've never heard of bioluminescence. I've never heard of this. This is recently a new thing, right? I've never heard of this. Have y'all? This is amazing. It's so majestic the way that they're flowing through the water like this, y'all. So this is literally natural now. We're not going to say nothing about this. The world is changing right before our eyes, y'all. Oh my goodness, let's get this shift. Peace in. So, is this...
Yeah, I definitely heard about bioluminescence as a kid. That was one of my favorite topics. I always wanted to be a marine biologist growing up, you know, which is, you can see a little bit of the inspiration in why we always in the submersible. But yeah, it's bioluminescence. I remember reading that in a book. There are different types of fish, deep sea, the viper fish, the angler fish, you know, like that fish you saw, they're trying to get Nemo that used lights to communicate. Yeah, the ocean is crazy. We got to get to explore more.
This is one of the most important scientific discoveries of all time. I am really shocked that we don't even learn this in school. This is some next level stuff, and it was verified to be true. Dr. Masaru Emoto. And what he discovered was, you know, when you speak to the water and you say certain things like, I love you, or, you know, you're my friend.
Or beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful, yeah. Angel. It could be simple, just like angel, happiness, peace. When you say these positive words to the water and then you freeze it, it makes beautiful shapes.
Most of the time they're symmetrical. They look like
you Google images. They have photos of this.
They look like snowflakes, like beautiful symmetrical snowflakes.
Now, when you say mean, nasty words to the water, and then they freeze the water, it would make ugly,
asymmetrical
shapes.
Asymmetrical.
Yeah, like cracks and looks like damage.
Bubbles.
And you basically prove that, like, your consciousness and your will combined with the intention behind your words affects reality. It's like the concept that, like, your words are magic. So much so that you change physical reality.
Yeah, it is quite literally proof that the things that come out of your mouth
change reality,
affect your physical surroundings.
This invention is called the Arcatron. It's a recreation of the Ark of the Covenant of Moses. Ark means a segment of a circle. A-R-C, A-R-K is the same word. Segment of a circle. Moses was given the ratios 3, 3, 5. If you see behind me, every point of the pentagon are two triangles. That's the 3, 3, 5 ratio given to Moses. It has a treatment platform on top so you can treat smaller objects. On the bottom are 5 points are Lexan connectors, and it comes also with the precision compass. It's a very powerful little pyramid generator. It creates the life force. Anything you put in it gets better. It makes vitamins more potent. Water bottles get charged up. Plants grow faster with the charged energy. It works because of its shape. And we're copying the same shape as the Great Pyramid. It was left as a monument in stone to be copied. It was designed to stay there for tens of thousands of years. But it's the sacred geometry, the angles, that make it work. This is the Dream Machine. And it's called the Dream Machine because everybody that's used it, it goes over your bed. I suggest by your feet so you can see it. You have incredible dreams. And these are made up of Cheops pyramids that are base to base, which I call a pyramid crystal. And it's 3 of these crystals. It creates an expansion of the energy, a contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion, which creates a flow of energy through it. And it's a great room energizer, especially if you don't have much room to put the pyramid. This takes up very little room on an inside corner, and it shoots energy off of every point. It's wonderful. And the day people will walk in your house and say, I feel like a kid, I want to laugh, I want to have fun. And this is my grid system behind me. This is a 9 pyramid grid. It focuses 9 vortexes of energy coming off of each of the 9 pyramids and focuses it to a distance about 3 feet away. And this is my favorite sleep system. It's called the Mothership, a 42-inch pyramid that hangs over the bed. This is the #1 selling sleep system pyramid for over 35 years.
I've been sitting here for a good 10 minutes. We had a pyramid like this where we took an apple and we cut it in half. We put the half underneath the pyramid like this and another half outside, and the half that was inside never turned brown.
I mean, I was kind of I was like just sitting here and all of a sudden you just feel like cool, like a cool breeze, like relaxing your eye. But never experienced this before.
I'm feeling a vibrational level, a tingling, a slight buzzing. I'm feeling a humming. And
this is my favorite invention. It's called the Pyramid Charger. It's a Tesla coil powered pyramid. This is the first marriage between the Cheops pyramid antenna and a Tesla coil. This is 500,000 volt solid state Tesla coil. It's an amazing device. It creates high frequency, high voltage pyramid energy. It has incredible healing effects and rejuvenation effects. Cheops pyramid standing waves of high frequency, high voltage, in this case 3 million volts of pyramid wave energy, goes into the body and knocks anything out that shouldn't be there. Newest invention is called...
I don't know if that's safe. Drop your comments below. That's all I got for today's video. I wanted to go a little bit deeper into those buildings and how they were able to spin all the different old structures. I believe some of them are in India that were able to spin, and they resemble, you know, like machines. That's a whole video in itself, and I want to keep going on it, but I got to get this one out to you guys, and I appreciate you guys. I love you. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Peace out.